time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday to you, wherever you may be. We're at Dodger Stadium, final game of the series with the San Diego Padres, and we open up by asking you a question. You think it is at all possible for all 5 teams to wind up in first place in the National League West? Maybe, maybe not, but they're close. First of all, the Dodgers are under 500. The Giants are under 500. Colorado is under 500, and they're all tied for first. Arizona is 2 games under 500. They're only a half a game out. And for 5th place, San Diego is only 2.5 games out of first place. It should be a good one today. Dodgers definitely trying to snap a 6-game losing streak. They know they lost 8 in a row back in 2013. As far as the pitching is concerned, a couple of good left-handers. Drew Pomeranz, 6'5", big guy going on for San Diego. Pomeranz with a record of 2-2, an earned run average of 2.8. In 22 innings, he has struck out 31. Countering him would be Clayton Kershaw with a record of 2-1, earned run average of 2.4, and for Clayton, 37 innings, he has struck out 40. Dodgers packing their bags, going on to Tampa Bay and Toronto when they come back, a tremendous homestand, 4 with the Mets, 3 with the Cardinals, and 2 with the Angels. So pull up a chair, sit back and relax. We've got a good ball game coming up and a whole lot more. Sportsnet L. On Sportsnet LA is brought to you by T-Mobile. Get Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be, as the Dodgers take the field. All of us inspired today by a gentleman who was at home plate just a little while ago. His name is Irving Peiken. He is 107 years old. We were privileged to have had a conversation with him, and he is truly remarkable. Maybe the hearing is not quite as sharp as ever, but his choice of words, his diction was remarkable. So what a great way to start the day with 107-year-old Irving Peiken. Meanwhile, the Dodgers need the spirit of youth to try and turn themselves around. As you probably know, they've lost 6 in a row. They lost 8 in a row, 2013. We can take a look at the San Diego lineup now, and this is the way the Padres shape up. John Jay in center, Will Myers at first, Matt Kemp in right. Melvin Upton in left, Derek Norris the catcher, Alexei Ramirez the shortstop, Adam Rosales at third, Jamal Weeks at second, and a big left-hander, Drew Pomeranz, on the mound. Another big left-hander is on the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, and a lot on the line for him. First of all, to get a win and stop the bleeding. And his first pitch swung on and missed by John Jay. Jay, a terrific all-around performer. He was extremely valuable to the Cardinals, hitting .357 against left-hand pitching, takes a big cut and misses, and the count 0-2. In his career, he's hit about .282 against left-handers. Another fellow to contend with will be Matt Kemp, hitting .333 against left-handers. Slow curveball, strike 3 called. So Kershaw takes John Jay to the cleaners, 1 away, and the batter now will be Will Myers. One big difference between the two teams as we take another look at that big curveball. San Diego is hitting .389 with runners in scoring position. That's produced 10 RBIs for Andy Green. The Dodgers 0-for-9 with runners in scoring position, and that's been the hollow sound throughout this homestand. The pitch now to Will Myers inside. The Dodgers on the homestand with runners in scoring position. They're only 2-for-36. That's a .056 batting average. The next one to Myers, a strike, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Dodgers certainly hoping to get well today when left-handed Drew Pomeranz goes to the mound. Turner wearing the shades, fighting the glare, and the 1-1 pitch on the way. Kershaw's pitch fouled off. The two left-handers, and you assume left-handers can hold the runners on. Well, Kershaw certainly can. However, Pomeranz cannot, at least in the past. Kershaw has picked off 58. Pomeranz 4. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Myers takes up, and the count 2-2. Pomeranz has allowed 30 stolen bases, only 6 caught. For Kershaw, 58 successful, 55 caught. Comes with a fastball, swung on and missed. And so Clayton Kershaw starts off with 2 strikeouts, and we'll take a look at the Dodger defense, which hasn't had to do anything yet. It's Gonzalez and Kendrick, Seager and Turner, Hernandez, Thompson and Puig, and A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Well, here comes Matt Kemp. Kemp hitting .333 against left-hand hitters. He's always been a good hitter against lefties. His career, he's hitting .326. Batting .283 for the year with 7 home runs. Kershaw delivers, and it's swung on and missed. 0-1. Dodgers load up the left side, and the outfield about straight away. So Matt, a big game the other night with a double and a home run. He also threw out a runner. The strike 1 pitch on the way, slow and swung on and missed. 72 miles an hour. So Kershaw starting to fall in love with that off-speed pitch. A junior eephus, a little bit over the hitter's head, and then suddenly drops into the strike zone. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Fastball in there. See you later. So all Clayton does in order to stop the bleeding is strike out the side. For the Padres, no runs, no hits, no errors, and at the end of half an inning, no score. Score. Kershaw strikes out the side on 11 pitches. Now we'll take a look at the Dodger lineup. Yasiel Puig leading off. Then Kike Hernandez in left field. Adrian Gonzalez at first. Justin Turner hitting cleanup at third. Howie Kendrick at second. Trace Thompson in center field. Corey Seager the shortstop. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. And Clayton Kershaw on the mound. His name is Thomas Andrew Pomeranz, better known as Drew. He's a big boy, 6'5" at least, 230 pounds. He is 28 years old. Originally a first-round pick by the Indians out of the University of Mississippi. With runners on, the opponents are hitting .139 against him, and with runners in scoring position, they're hitting less than 100. So we'll see about Pomeranz, who comes in with a record of 2-2. Left-hander ready, delivers. First ball swinging, popped up. Going into foul ground is Will Myers, fighting his son, and backhands it coming down. So Puig in the leadoff role swings at the first pitch and fouls out. Let's take a look at the Padres with the leather. Myers and Weeks, Ramirez and Rosales, with Upton, Jay, and Kemp. Norris behind the plate handling Pomeranz. So 1 out in the first inning. Kike Hernandez coming up. Dodgers are 3-3 against left-hand starters this year. 2-3 against a left-hander here at Dodger Stadium. Kike Hernandez trying to give the Dodgers a little pep, playing left field. Pomeranz pitching from a stretch all the time, works it a little bit low. and the count 2 balls and no strike. Hernandez played right field last night and went 1 for 4. Pomeranz originally signed by the Indians, then went to the A's, and here he is now, missing high. His father led it 4 years at Ole Miss, so he learned a lot about pitching from his dad. And when Drew was 11, his father taught him and his brother to throw the knuckle curveball. That's in for a strike. That curveball, they say, is devastating, and he throws it close to 38% of the time. A lot of baseball blood in the Pomeranz family. Tell you about it in a moment. 3-1 pitch swung on. Towering fly ball, but very playable. John Jay, the center fielder, waits and makes the catch for the out. Yeah, when it left the bat, the crowd thought, whoa, that's going to go, but it was just a high fly ball.
23,
so 2 down. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Adrian, like everybody else on the ball club, is struggling, and the Dodgers hoping that he'll get well today and out on the road. 0 for his last 17 with 7 strikeouts, batting .286. So the butter and egg man has to start delivering in order for the Dodgers to make a move. Big swing and a miss, and they count 0-1. 2 out, first inning, no score. Justin Turner hitting behind Gonzalez in the cleanup spot. Pomeranz's next pitch is fouled away down the left field line, out of play, and the count 0-2. A beautiful afternoon. Sunday in the park with George, a Broadway show, or Alan, or anybody else you want. 70 degrees. Doesn't get much better. Just a very little breeze. Fastball very high, 1-2. What breeze we do have, right to left, and of course we have tomorrow here today. Bless his heart in Dad's arms. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Taken high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Adrian in and out of the box, stays in the box, but actually doesn't go far away, and he's right back up and waiting. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. No score first inning. Pomeranz at the belt. Here comes the lefty, and it's swung on and missed, and down goes Gonzalez. So the Dodgers go very quietly, as usual, last few games, and at the end of an inning, no score. We have some fellas who strike out hitters, and let's talk about that. Clayton Kershaw's strikeout to walk ratio is staggering, 13-1. Noah Syndergaard pitching for the Mets today at 9.5. Then Juan Walker and Ricky Nolasco 8. So Kershaw struck out the side in the first inning and now going to work on Melvin Upton. Swings at the first pitch and doesn't get it. Upton in his 12th year in the big leagues. He's the older brother of Justin Upton. In this series, he's 2 for 8. A double, 3 RBIs, and a stolen base. He stole third. The pitch is low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Upton followed by Norris, followed by Ramirez. Kershaw ready and comes back, swung on and missed. Clayton is certainly challenging right-hand batters. You know, he hasn't allowed a walk in the last 82 plate appearances against a right-hander. Kershaw ready, 1-2 pitch on the way, and it's a little low. 2-2 the count. The Dodgers are 1 game under 500. They haven't been 2 games under since 2013. 2-2 pitch in there, strike 3 call. So Clayton has struck out 4 in a row. When Kershaw beat San Diego opening day, that was one of those rare laughers. The Dodgers beat the Padres in that game 15-0. All right. Here's Derek Norris, the catcher. Right-hand batter checking in. Norris 2 for 8. Struggling with the bat. And the catcher takes on the inside corner for a strike. Off-speed pitch. So everything Kershaw throws right now is a strike. However, remember the last time we all learned a lesson about how you can be so effective and the next thing you know you're gone. Strike 1 pitch is off speed in the dirt, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Kershaw, remember, the first 5 innings of that game against the Marlins was brilliant, and in the 6th inning the sky fell in on him. In that game he had struck out 8 in the 5 innings. High foul off first base. Adrian coming over, no play. Yeah, he went 5 innings. He struck out 8. He allowed 1 hit. And everybody thought, well, that's it. He's got this thing locked up. Really. 6th inning, boom. And he was gone. 5 runs, 7 hits, despite striking out 10. Norris waiting, and the 1-2 pitch on the way. Clayton delivers. Big overhand breaking ball at 74 miles an hour, and Norris fouled it off. So Clayton trying to do what the aces do. Stop the bleeding. Win a game after the team has lost 6 in a row. No score. 2nd inning in this one. 1 out. Clayton ready. Here he comes. Grounded foul outside of third. Cracked bat. And Norris will have to go over and get another one. Derek Norris last year had a lot of extra base hits and ran the bases very well, which is difficult for a catcher, as you can well imagine. All right, Derek back up to the plate. 2 for 8 in the series. Kershaw waiting, both feet on the rubber. Norris very deliberate in getting back in. Now they hook up, and the 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball grounded to the right side. Howie Kendrick is up with it and throws him out. 2 down in the 2nd inning. Alexi Ramirez coming up. I told the story earlier in the series, I think first game, but they'll be gone for a while. Tell you the truth, I like to hear the story myself. It's about his car. He has a Jaguar, and he went to a gentleman who does custom painting, thermo something or other. He paid the man $25,000 to take the Jaguar and paint it, but not just paint it, something different. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Ramirez takes a strike. When the weather is cold, the way the paint job is, the Jaguar is black. When it's hot out, the Jaguar changes into red, white, and blue. Honest. 1-1 pitch on the way. Hit in the air to right center field and deep. Puig on the run. Gonna catch up to it. Good play by Yasiel on a long drive to right. So Ramirez goes down. 6 in a row retired. And oh my goodness, the nursery is here. God bless him. No score. Score in the ball game. Dodgers will have Justin Turner, Howie Kendrick, and then Trace Thompson. Pomerantz in the first inning set the Dodgers down on 11 pitches, and Kershaw made only 12 in the second inning. Clayton Kershaw 5-0 in his last 8 starts against the Padres, going back to September of 2013. Scoreless in the second, and here is Turner. Justin trying to get something started, for that matter trying to get himself started, like everybody else struggling. Kendrick and Thompson on deck. Pomerantz out of a stretch, works the first pitch inside, ball 1. Actually, it's stretchless. All he does is bring his hands together at the belt. Turner 0 for 7 in the series, hitting .247. Pomerantz ready, and the big guy back 1-0, and that's lifted high in the air into right center. Coming over, fighting the sun, and one-handing it and falling down is John Jay. Boy, the sunglasses were really glistening, and Jay was fighting that thing all the way, and at the last moment able to lunge, make the catch, and down he goes on his back. So Turner, fly ball for an out. 1 down, and the batter Howie Kendrick. They learn how to handle just about everything as they work their way up from the minor leagues, but it is still brutal to look up into the air. Kemp was right there, but he didn't look like he was too sure about it anyway. And the pitch now to Howie Kendrick, misses inside, ball 1. 1-0. Kendrick hitting just 151. Pomerantz back, slides it in there nicely. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pomerantz was taught to throw a knuckle curveball by his father, and we mentioned earlier that he has a lot of baseball genes. Not only his father, his brother, and his grandfather, and his great-grandfather. They all played ball. The great-grandfather, Garland Buckeye. He was a pitcher in the big leagues in the 20s. 1 hopper to the right side. At the other end of it is Weeks to make the play. So Kendrick grounds out. 5 in a row retired by Pomerantz.
Center field, number 21.
And the batter will be Chase Thompson. Couple of baseball notes about Big Drew Pomeranz. When he was with Colorado, he was 4-14 in his time with the Rockies. Since leaving Colorado, he has 12 wins and 12 losses. So Pomeranz working on Thompson with 2 down. They load up the left side, and the first pitch in for a strike. Left-hand batters are hitting just 177 against Pomeranz. So he's a good young pitcher. Strike one pitch, slow breaking ball in for a strike, and that it could be that knuckle curve. There's just a little bend to it. Pomeranz will be 28 late in November. Now the next pitch comes in and misses, and they count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Thompson spelling Jock Peterson in center with a left-hander going. And the 1-2 pitch coming up. Pomeranz delivers inside on the corner for strike 3 called. 2 strikeouts for Pomeranz, and at the end of 2 innings, no score. You wanted the best price with an 11-game pick-em plan. Guarantee your seats with the Giants, Angels, Cubs, and Red Sox, or great giveaways like the bobblehead and T-shirt nights. Visit Dodgers.com/mini plans. So into the 3rd inning we go. No score. Each pitcher has retired 6 in a row, and Kershaw working on Adam Rosales. Third baseman goes after the first pitch and comes up empty, and the count 0-1. For Rosales, he had as bad a night as you can have in the big leagues, I guess. He struck out all 4 times. Kershaw's next one swung on and missed. So Adam now in a hole, 0-2. So Rosales in and out of the box. He'll be followed by Jemile Weeks, the second baseman. Big slow curveball hit wide at third. Turner is on it, gets it over the first in time. So Kershaw has retired 7 in a row, and the batter Jemile Weeks.
Number 8, Jemile Weeks.
Weeks has handled himself very well at second base, not hitting a lick, 1 for 7 in the series. Jemile is the younger brother of Ricky Weeks. On deck, Drew Pomeranz, the pitcher. Kershaw ready, comes to his hitter, and it's in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Clayton reading signs flashed out by A.J. Ellis, comes back with a big overhand curveball but it's low. Came in at 73 miles an hour. 1 out, 3rd inning, no score. We can drop in some scores. For instance, the Giants beat the Mets 6-1. Bumgarner went 6. Pence and Posey hit home runs. Ground ball to 3rd, backhanded by Justin Turner to throw him out. And we have 2 down here in the 3rd inning. And Drew Pomeranz coming up.
Pitcher number 13, Drew Pomeranz.
Getting back to that Giant game, Noah Syndergaard gave up 4 of the Giants' 6 runs. The Diamondbacks are leading the Rockies 1-0 in the 2nd inning. That's Chad Bettis and Shelby Miller. So we're scoreless in the 3rd. 2 down, Pomeranz at the plate. Kershaw starts him off. Fastball, and it's hit down to short. Nice big hop for Seager. Corey throws him out. And just like that, Kershaw has retired 9 in a row. And at the end of 2.5 innings, no score. In the stands, youngsters out here for a Sunday afternoon ball game, obviously trying to inspire the Dodgers to shake it up and get on a win. Well, they're up against a big man in Drew Pomeranz. We mentioned earlier that Pomeranz is a vastly improved pitcher. When he was with Colorado, he had 4 wins and 14 losses. Coming over to San Diego, he's now 12-12. So when you look at his record against the Dodgers, which says that he has struggled against them, it doesn't really hold up now. He is a different man. Corey Seager hitting 7th, followed by A.J. Ellis and then Kershaw. And Pomeranz over the top, ground ball wide of first. Up with it there is Myers. 1 pitch, 1 away. So the pitchers are really locked in. Kershaw has retired 9 in a row. Pomeranz has retired 7 in a row. And A.J. Ellis coming up. A.J. Ellis trying to get it started with his buddy Kershaw hitting back of him. A.J. makes pitchers work in his career. Better than 4 pitches in at bat. Hitting .216. Dodgers haven't seen Pomeranz in 3 years. Left-hander's fastball in for a strike. When he was with the Rockies, he was 0-3. But now, new uniform and a new start as he works on Ellis. Next one outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. When he was in Colorado, his earned run average was over 5. And he had started 4 times against the Dodgers. So it's a big break for him, of course, to pitch here. High drive into dead center. Back goes Jay. Away back. It's over his head, off the wall. And Ellis into second base, standing with a booming double. So the first hit in the game. Kershaw has retired 9 in a row. Pomeranz had retired 7 in a row, but he gives up the double, and now Kershaw.
Pitcher number 22, Clayton Kershaw.
In Kershaw's last game against Miami, you may or may not remember that he was in bunt position and the third baseman well in, and then suddenly he took the bat back and shot a single into left field. So Clayton, pretty good hitter, chokes up on the bat, not trying to hit home runs, although he has one. Pomeranz looks back at Ellis, comes to the plate with a fastball for a strike. Knee high up outside part of the plate at 92. Clayton's career as a hitter about $1.50. 0-1 to count. No score, third inning. Pomeranz at the belt. Now big left-hander slow pitch. That's that knuckle curve, I'm sure. Couldn't get it over. 1-1 to count. Seems like such an awkward pitch to throw because it's not the knuckle, it's the fingernail. The knuckle ball, the knuckle curve, they're all misnomers. Now the 1-1 pitch. Ellis taking liberties out there at second base. And the pitch to Kershaw fouled away off to the left upstairs. 1-2 the count. Dodgers going to Tampa Bay and Toronto, but boy, you can't wait for the next homestand. 4 with that brilliant pitching staff of the New York Mets, followed by the always good St. Louis Cardinals, and then followed by the struggling Angels. 1-2 the count. Pomeranz at the belt. Another look at Ellis, and the pitch to Kershaw. Ground ball up the middle. It's a base hit. Ellis is going to be waved in. John Jay's throw to the plate. It's cut off. They have Kershaw in a rundown, but also they have a run to the Dodgers, and Kershaw is eventually tagged out. So Clayton Kershaw does everything down there as he singles to center to drive in his buddy A.J. Ellis. And the Dodgers on the board, leading 1-0. So Kershaw chopped down on a good cutoff play. Will Myers cut it off and got it down toward Weeks. So we have 2 down, a run in, and here's Yasiel Puig. Puig hitting top spot and notorious first pitch hitter. And sure enough, opened up the game, swung at the first pitch, and fouled out to Will Myers. Pomeranz delivers, knuckle curve in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So after swinging at the first pitch, first at bat, Yasiel puts the brakes on and takes a look. Strike 1 pitch coming up. Pomeranz back, inside under the hands, and the count 1-1 strike. Puig, a day off yesterday, struggling, hitting just 137 when the game started, a little less than that now. 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled away, and the count 1-2. Tough spot for Yasiel. In the last 14 games, he has struck out 15 times. Though Puig waiting, Pomeranz at the belt. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Left-hander ready, delivers, and it's fouled back. Jammed him with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Drew Norris, who catches very well with Pomeranz. In fact, Pomeranz's ERA is 2.7 with Derek Norris behind the plate. 1-2 pitch on the way. Puig check swing foul. Started, held up, fouled it back. A.J. Ellis, who doubled up the base of the wall in center, cashed in by his buddy Clayton Kershaw. 1-2 the count to Yasiel. Pomeranz ready. Left-handed deals. Drops it just inside under the hands. And the count 2-2. Pomeranz gets tougher as the game goes along, as Kike Hernandez looks on. Pomeranz ready. 2-2 pitch, and that's low. So he goes all the way to Yasiel Puig. The 7th through the 9th, Pomeranz ERA is 2.3. So they're trying to get him early. It's 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the 3rd. The pitch to Yasiel is swung on, fouled off to the right, and carrying back into the stands. Another thing about Drew Pomeranz, he has increased his strikeouts per 9 innings every year since 2011. 3-2 the count to Puig. Pomeranz delivers. Fastball is chopped to third. Up with it there is Rosales. Throws him out. So Puig goes 0 for 2. Taps to third. But as usual, the Dodgers looked at Clayton Kershaw, and he delivers with a base hit to score Ellis. 1-0 Dodgers. Brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. The great combination of the two Walters, Walter Alston and, of course, Walter O'Malley. Walter Alston lived in Dartown, Ohio. When the Dodgers won the 1955 World Championship, I sent him and his wife a Christmas card. And I wrote on the envelope, Mr. and Mrs. Walter Alston, Dartown, Ohio. Would you believe the card came back, address unknown? In Dartown? The postman must have been a newcomer. Anyway, 1-0 favor of the Dodgers. And the leadoff man, John Jay, comes up empty with the swing, 0-1. The leadoff man, talking about that, Yasiel Puig today. Change-up missed. Puig in his first at-bat swung at the first pitch. His second at-bat, he had 9 pitches before he grounded out. Check swing, but he went after it. 1-2 the count. I'm sure if you're a hitter, if Kershaw gets 2 strikes out, you're really in a hurry. Yep. He's in a hurry to go back to the dugout. That's 5 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw, and he's gotten John Jay twice. Pomeranz is certainly no slouch in strikeouts. What the big guy on the ball club has to do is stop a losing streak. And look at Kershaw, an ERA of 2.3, 53-25 following a loss. 0-1 to Myers. Myers struck out in the first inning. We mentioned Pomerantz is no slouch. Tell you why. Strike one pitch is grounded foul. Pomerantz, his strikeout rate per 9 innings is 12.6. So he's right up there battling Clayton Kershaw. 0-2 the count to Will Myers. That's fouled away. Kershaw struck out the side in the first inning, nailed Upton in the second, and now Jay. So he has 5. Last time out he struck out 10 and lost. That's how tough it is in the big leagues. 1-0 favor the Dodgers in the 4th. Big chopper to third, backing up for the hop. Justin makes the play. So we have 2 down in the 4th inning.
Number 27, Matt Kemp.
Matt Kemp will be coming up. When Kershaw had that amazing game where he was breezing for 5 innings, he had allowed only 1 hit in the 5 innings. That was a triple by Marcell Ozuna. And then, of course, all the damage hit him in the 6th. So Matt Kemp struck out in the first inning. Little ground ball. It will be Seager. And there's your 3 in the inning. So for Kershaw, he has retired 12 in a row. No runs, no hits, no nothing. 1-0 Dodgers. Mom and her little princess taking in the ball game. We've also had a romantic note. Gentleman proposing to his lady. He had the ring. She accepted. And the organist played the wedding song. With all of that, it's 1-0 Dodgers. Bottom of the 4th. Hernandez, Gonzalez, and Turner. 0-1. Another interesting thing about Pomerantz as he works on his first hitter, Hernandez. He's tough on the lineup in the first 6 spots. Off speed, hit to third. Adam Rosales makes the play. 1 down. So the first 6 spots have nothing. It was Ellis in the number 8 hole who doubled, and then Kershaw drove in the run. So Pomerantz very much on his game. The first 6 spots are hitting less than 190 against Pomerantz. But the bottom of the lineup, and that included Ellis and Kershaw, was hitting 313. So here's Gonzalez, struck out in the first inning. Ball one. Strength of his troubles, he is now 0 for 18. But typical of Adrian, his personality, his composure is solid despite the lack of a base hit. Check swing. They're going to look. No swing. 2-0. We were trying to point that out to any young ball players. Adrian last night struck out, walked back to the dugout, calmly put the helmet back, put the bat back. No sign of troubles, no angry show. Towering fly ball. Well, let's see. It's going to be the left fielder, Upton, and making the catch. So 2 down in the 4th inning, and the batter will be Justin Turner. So Pomerantz is living up to everything we've heard about him. He's a fine young pitcher. He shuts down the top 6 in the lineup and gets hurt in the bottom, and he sure got hurt today. The double by Ellis and the single by Kershaw. So here's Turner, fly to center in the 2nd inning. That was the catch John Jay made and then fell on his back. Ball 1. One ball and no strikes. And that's lifted to right field. Racing over to his left is Kemp. He's there, makes the catch. So there you have it. As far as the top 6 in the lineup, they're 0 for the 4 innings. And he got hurt by Kershaw and Ellis. And at the end of 4, 1-0 Dodgers. Is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Taste the Baconlicious Sourdough Bacon Ranch Combo. Only at Jack in the Box. 5th inning, 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw. The MVP pictures up on the wall, a classic study of Dodgers' success down through the years. Kershaw, an interesting note. He has gotten more swings and misses, 13 of them, than he has missed the strike zone. He's only missed on 8 pitches. So he's very much on his game right now as he starts the 5th inning. Strike. Melvin Upton. Ground ball, foul. 0-2 the count. Upton 2 for 9 in the series. Veteran of 12 major league seasons. If he gets on, he is a threat to run. 1-2. Upton against Kershaw on the base paths will be a nice battle to watch. Upton has stolen 279 bases. And I'm sure you know that Kershaw is very tough to run on. 1-2. 2-2. Base runners against Kershaw are barely break even, and he's picked off 58 runners. 2-2. And strike 3 called, and Upton is punched out. That's 6 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. He is not allowed a hit. Fastball just about at the knees. 1 down. Derek Norris, the catcher, grounded out in the 2nd inning. Derek 0 for 1. Had a good year last year, but it's the old story. That was last year. And a strike. Norris paid the price. He was beaned back in 2010. A couple of years ago, he was very good as a pinch hitter. He had 3 home runs coming off the bench. Popped in the air. It'll be Gonzalez in foul ground.
Number 10, Alexei Ramirez.
Kershaw has retired 14 in a row, if you're not counting. And here comes Alexei Ramirez. Ramirez hit the ball hard, and Yasiel Puig made a very fine running catch in deep right field. That was a big play. Fouled off that curve. 0-1. Ramirez gives the Padres what they need, a very good everyday shortstop. Since 2009, the Padres have had 18 shortstops. Check swing. 1-1. Alexei came from the White Sox. One and two. Slow curveball, a little high. That's about as slow as it gets. 71. Normally 73, 74. Ramirez had a very good second half last year. Fastball whacked foul. In the second half of last year, he had 277 with 8 home runs and 35 RBIs. That was in 70 games after the All-Star break. He's got a solid first month under him right now. 2-2. A line drive, base hit inside the foul line. Ramirez hits the bag and keeps on going. Puig guns it in there. He is out at second base. What a throw by Yasiel Puig. A low line drive. Ramirez runs well, and Yasiel nails him. Let's see, however, whether it's official, because it looks like maybe San Diego will check. They're watching the dugout, and it looks like there will not be any argument about the play. All we know, it was a perfect throw. Puig, without time really to set, just fired and got him. And at the end of 4.5, 1-0 Dodgers. 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning with Kendrick, Thompson, and Seager due up against Drew Pomeranz. Marvelous throw by Yasiel Puig. It is one thing on a fly ball to catch it on the run and let it fly, but all he did was pick it up and throw. He didn't have a chance to straighten up or anything. And a good speedy runner in Ramirez. Marvelous play by Yasiel Puig. Kendrick grounded out in the 2nd inning. Howie 0 for 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pomeranz coming off a loss to the Giants. He allowed 3 earned runs. Suffered the defeat. Little knuckle curve in there. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. On the hands with the fastball. Interesting, talking about knowledge of players and everything else. Pomeranz was the 5th overall pick in the 2010 draft by the Indians. He was selected before Matt Harvey and Chris Sale. Fouled away. And even though he was a big guy that they let get away, you certainly got the indication that he was very talented. It's a little surprise. He's been traded 3 times in his career. And the knuckle curve takes care of Howie Kendrick. So 1 out. You know a standout high school senior athlete? Well, if you do, then nominate them for a chance to be named a Time Warner Cable Sports Championship Drive Scholar Athlete and receive a $2,500 college scholarship. Go to twcschamp.com now for more information. Fastball away. Thompson struck out in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1. Corey Seager waiting his turn. That's on the outside corner for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Be the bottom of the Padre lineup when they come up in the 6th. Rosales, Weeks, and Pomeranz. And that knuckle curve is in there again. 1 run, 2 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 1 hit for San Diego. Foul back. Alexi Ramirez single to right to break up the possible no-hitter. Alexi from Cuba. Little high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Light breeze has picked up left to right. Meanwhile, Pomeranz goes 3-2. Fastball fouled off. Still 3-2 the count to Trace Thompson. We have 1 out, bottom of the 5th inning. Dodgers trying to snap a 6-game losing streak, and it's not easy. They're leading 1-0 against San Diego. And a drive to left down the line and in the corner. Over to get it is Upton, and into second base goes Trace Thompson with the long double. So Ellis doubled, and the Dodgers cashed him in the 3rd inning. And now Thompson doubles with 1 out, and that'll leave it up to Seager. 3rd Dodger hit. 2 doubles and then the single by Kershaw that drove in the run. Trace with 4 doubles. Pomerantz behind the mound thinking things over. Corey Seager grounded out hard to Will Myers, their first baseman. So Corey 0 for 1. In the dirt, nice block by Norris. So the top 6 finally heard from against Pomerantz. The double by Trayce Thompson. One ball and no strikes. A.J. Ellis on deck. And the pitch high. By the way, getting back to the throw by Yasiel Puig. Puig came up in June of 2013. And he's now 3rd among outfielders in assists. Cespedes with 39, Martin with 39, Puig with 32. And by the way, all 3 players are from Cuba. Two balls and 1 strike to Corey Seager. A.J. Ellis waiting. Dodgers lead 1-0. We're in the 5th. Drew Pomerantz. Misses with the knuckle curve, and the count goes to 3-1. Well, they're brothers, the brothers Seager. And fouled away off to the left, out of play. Corey 22 years old. So the Dodgers figure they have a fine shortstop for a long, long time. And he lifts another one foul, out of play. Seager is hitting 7th, so again it's the bottom of the lineup trying to give Pomerantz a bad time. 3-2 to Corey. Thompson at second. Pickoff play. Not in time. Going into this game, if Pomerantz gets 2 strikes on the hitter, they're hitting 104. Well, he's got 2 strikes on Seager. We'll see if that holds up. Runner in scoring position this year, the opposition hitting 091. Foul back. So Drew Pomerantz developing into one of the better left-handers in the league. Got to somehow get over being troubled by the bottom 3 in the lineup. 3-2 to Seager. Fastball. So Seager giving him a bad time, fouling the pitches off. Count stays 3-2. Thompson at second base with 1 out. And the Dodgers leading 1-0, bottom of the 5th. Kershaw has made 54 pitches. Pomerantz is up to 68 now. Knuckle curve and a towering fly ball to right center. Looks like it might be playable, and it is caught at the wall. Tagging up, going to third, thinking perhaps it was a base hit. Thompson looked like he was on his way home, and Chris Woodward had to hold him down. Nice play by Matt Kemp out there. He never quit on the ball. It was a knuckle curve, and it was one of those paint scrapers, and right at the wall. Matt made the catch. Tagging up and advancing to third is Seager. Now Ellis is coming up, but let's see if they're going to bother pitching to him. He doubled in his previous at bat, and they're going to put him aboard. So in a moment, we'll have runners at first and third with 2 out. 1 ball and no strike. Seems like a small thing, and yet it could be an indication. The Dodgers could manage only 6 foul balls in the first 4 innings. They've had 8 foul balls in this inning. So you start to think they're seeing the ball better, or Pomerantz is losing his edge. Whatever, it's just a note. So in a moment, first and third for Kershaw with 2 out. So Kendrick opened up the inning and struck out. Thompson doubled. Seager a long fly ball to right. They walk Ellis after Thompson takes third. And here's Kershaw, who singles sharply to center to drive in the Dodger run. Derek Knott, the catcher, out in front, signaling to the infield. Rosales is up even with the bag at third. Myers on the bag, and Weeks and Ramirez very deep. They're both playing on the rim. Testimony to Kershaw's ability to hit. Pomerantz delivers, down and away, no swing, ball 1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit for San Diego. We're in the 5th. Dodgers 3-3 this year against left-hand starters. Lifted foul off to the left, way out of play, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Dodgers going on the road, and they've been actually playing better on the road than at home. They are 8-5 on the road. They are 4-8 at home. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pomerantz checking. Here he comes, and he finds the mark with a fastball, and the count 1-2. Pomerantz drafted by the Rangers, but took a scholarship to the University of Mississippi. Light breeze blowing to right field. Breaking ball takes care of Kershaw, and that's it. Pomerantz strikes out 2. Dodgers lead 2, and at the end of 5, 1-0 Dodgers. Distress is May Day. May Day. Well, the Dodgers were certainly in distress. May the 1st, 1965. Oh, yeah, they were leading the Giants and eventually beat them. But their two-time National League champion Tommy Davis slid into second base and broke his ankle. And the feelings here at Dodger Stadium, there went the pennant. Instead, Lou Johnson arrived on the scene, and the Dodgers went on to win the World Series. Let's go back to this one. '65, Dodgers winning the pennant and the World Series against Minnesota. Sandy Koufax beating Jim Cott. Battle of excellent left-handers, and that's what we have going on today. Kershaw pitching to Rosales. A strike. Adam Rosales struck out 4 times last night, grounded out. Last at bat in the first game, he doubled. 1 ball and 1 strike. One run, only 3 hits for the Dodgers, and it was a double by Ellis and a single by Kershaw. 1-2. Boy, it's been a very tough series for the Padre third baseman as he strikes out. 1 down, and the batter will be Jemile Weeks. Jemile Weeks grounded to third, hitting only 182. He's had a very quiet series. High chopper over the mound to the left, but Seager's on it to throw him out before you can even call it. 2 down. 1965, admittedly a long time ago. Nevertheless, Jim Cott was pitching and Lou Johnson hit a home run. And Lou had the happy habit, whenever he had a big hit, he would applaud himself as he went around the bases. Well, as he got around third, he had stopped applauding. And finally, Koufax struck out the hitter to end it as Kershaw gets a strike. And we have 2 down. Pomerantz at the plate. Yep, 1965. That was the series. It was kind of cool and damp. And it was an amazing sight to look at the Dodger bullpen before the game started. There they were, warming up side by side, Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. And everybody sat and watched and thought who was going to go to the mound to pitch the big game. And they went to Koufax because of the great reasoning. Koufax took a while to warm up, so he'd be in trouble in the bullpen. Drysdale could throw a few and he was ready. So they opted for Koufax to start, and he went all the way, typically, to give the Dodgers the championship. Fastball blows him down. So 1-2-3 inning, and at the end of 5.5, it's still 1-0 Dodgers.
10th to get a Vince Scully Avenue t-shirt courtesy of the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
The clouds have gathered, but way back of the mountains in center field. It's a perfect blue sky, the canopy overhead. But if you like clouds, there they are. Meanwhile, trying to get out from under a cloud is Yasiel Puig, who had fouled out, grounded out, then made a redeeming play, a great throw to Nail Ramirez trying to get to second base. Yasiel, over the last 14 games, thoroughly forgettable. Got off to a great start, hit the skids, now trying to fight his way back. Like just everybody else, he sure has company. And ball one. You know a remarkable statistic? Yeah, there's the wild horse. That brings back memories when he first came up. Interesting note about Kershaw. Mile high pop foul, Derek Norris. So Puig, a picture of frustration as he fouls out, and we have one out in the 6th inning. Clayton Kershaw today so far has struck out 8. As far as walks are concerned, 8 strikeouts and no walks. So this year, so far anyway, Kershaw's strikeouts to walks, 48 strikeouts, 3 walks. TK fly deep to center, grounded to third, 0 for 2. You should have seen him in the Dodger dugout before they took the field. He was really a high wire act. He was full of beans, going from one player to another, shaking hands, making fists, let's go get him, that type of thing. He was the cheerleader, trying to chase away the bloom. 2 balls and 1 strike. On deck, Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian trying to shake away his own gloom. Change curve, hit to short. Ramirez gets him. 2 down. So everything we heard about Drew Pomeranz is true. He's a very fine young pitcher, and he can really control the top 6 hitters in the lineup. Why in the world would a man pitching that well be troubled by the bottom 3 men in the lineup? Well, that's one of baseball's mysteries, and it's the story today. He was getting everybody. Ellis hitting 8th double, Kershaw hitting 9th single for the only run. Knuckle curve in for a strike. Jamal Weeks way out, almost listed as a right fielder. Another curveball, grounded foul. Throws it at the same speed, 80 miles an hour. Drew Pomeranz. No balls, 2 strikes. Breaking ball low. We mentioned it earlier. If Pomeranz gets 2 strikes on the hitter, they're hitting 100. Even less than that right now. 1-0 Dodgers, 2 out, bottom of the 6th. Fastball hit to left and deep. Going back is up and away back to the track at the wall and makes the catch right at the window. So Adrian almost, but not quite. And the Dodgers go down 1-2-3 at the end of 6, 1-0 Dodgers. The only run driven in by Kershaw. Strikeouts, one has 8, meaning Clayton. The other has 4. Pomeranz has made 17, 21 so pitches more than Kershaw, who, by the way, has got a first pitch strike to 16 of the 18 batters. Let's see about right now. Make it 17 out of 19. Top of the order, John Jay, struck out twice. And he's in a hole. No balls and 2 strikes. The only hit by San Diego, a 2-out single, line drive single by Alexi Ramirez. Tried to stretch it for 2, and Yasiel Puig threw him out. 1-2 the count to John Jay. 2-2. And down he goes, striking out 3 times today. Though Kershaw very much in control with his 9th strikeout. Say a reminder, May 11, Dodgers and the Mets. You can get a Dave Roberts bobblehead courtesy of State Farm. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Dodgers load up the left side on Will Myers. Ball 1. Giants won 6-1 on a drizzly day in New York. They beat Syndergaard. Madison Bumgarner picked up the victory. Giants began the day along with Colorado, tied for first place with the Dodgers. Two and 1. 9 strikeouts, no walks. That's Clayton Kershaw. Low again, ball 3. We can tell you the Rockies are leading the Diamondbacks 3-1 in the 5th inning. Diamondbacks began the day a half a game out of first place. Strike 2. Three and 2. Ground ball up the middle. They loaded up the left side, and Myers is jammed and singles to center the other way.
Right fielder Matt Kemp.
So Matt Kemp coming up with a runner at first, 1 out, 7th inning, 1-0 Dodgers. For Will Myers, a modest thing and thine own, but he got it in for the base hit. And now Matt Kemp struck out, grounded out, 0-for-2. Fastball sliced to right. Puig a long way to come. It's going to drop. So on his way to third goes Myers. Puig runs the ball back to the infield. So a little pop fly single after a soft ground ball, but in way at other. There are runners at first and third, and for the first time today, Kershaw's in a little trouble. Made a good pitch on Kemp, and it drops in front of Puig, who is playing very deep in right field. First and third in the 7th. Kershaw has now allowed 3 hits. Melvin Upton has struck out twice. We have 1 out, and after Upton, Derek Norris. So at least as far as batting averages are concerned, Kershaw does not have much to worry about, but that's only on paper. Fastball in the dirt, saved by A.J. Ellis. Upton struck out twice, came in hitting .244. Tying run at third, and Will Myers a go-ahead run with Kemp at first. Derek Norris came into the game hitting .156, and he's on deck. Fouled away. One thing about Upton, even though he's only hitting about .240, it seems like he's inspired with a runner in scoring position. In this kind of a spot, he's batting .333. One and one to Melvin, the older brother of Justin. First time today in the 7th inning, Kershaw actually has to go to a stretch. Remember, the only hit he allowed, the man never did reach second base. So he struck out Jay. Myers squirting a little single to center, and then Kemp a little pop fly single. Padres trying to win their 10th game of the season. They came in 9-15. Dodgers are 12-13. They're battling to get back to 500. And down he goes. 10 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. He strikes out Upton for the 3rd time. 2 on, 2 out, and here's Derek Norris hitting .150. So the numbers tell you that Kershaw will be able to get out of the jam. We'll see if they hold up. Norris is not hitting a lick, nor is he doing anything with runners in scoring position. Upton was hitting .333. Norris is 1 for 19, hitting .053. And a fly ball should be caught. Starting in, holding back is Hernandez. Kershaw is out of the jam. So the Padres had a shot in the 7th, but the way Kershaw is pitching, no chance. And at the end of 6½, 1-0 Dodgers. Bottom of the 7th inning. Kershaw had his best today. He has struck out 10 without a walk, allowed 3 hits, and he himself singled in the Dodger run. So Drew Pomeranz will be pitching to Turner, Kendrick, and Thompson. Strike 1. Turner fly to center, fly to right. 0 for 2. One and one. Kershaw made 17 pitches in the 7th inning, so he's made only 81. Pomeranz has made 89. Kevin Quackenbush gets up in the San Diego bullpen. The pitcher spot occupied by Pomeranz, due up 4th in the 8th inning. 2 balls and 1 strike. Like a straight change. Turner's eyes had to get bigger, but he came up empty. 2-2. Don't forget the next homestand. Ground ball to third and booted by Rosales. That's what happens when you're struggling with the bat. Rosales struck out 4 times last night. He has struck out once today. So in his last 6 at-bats, nothing. And you know he's out there thinking about it. Perfect ground ball, but he just let it get away. So Turner is aboard. Howie Kendrick coming up. Boy, this game can eat you alive when things go wrong. Howie Kendrick grounded out, struck out, 0 for 2. Ball 1. You have to be very impressed with Drew Pomeranz. Certainly not the pitcher that we saw when he was with Colorado. Not even close. Ground ball, up with it, Rosales. They get 1. They turn it for 2. Despite an all-out effort by Turner to break up the double play, they still turn it. 5-4-3. 2 down. Take another look at the schedule. Tampa Bay. Dodgers will be there Tuesday and Wednesday. Next weekend playing Toronto. And then the great homestand. The New York Mets for 4. The Cardinals for 3. And the Dodgers playing the Angels for 2. So 2 down. Here's Trace Thompson. Strike. 0-1. Pomeranz doesn't throw hard enough to be an overwhelming strikeout pitcher. Just a nice, easy delivery. He has struck out 4 compared to Kershaw, who has struck out 10. Slicing fly ball down the line, going foul, back into the crowd. We have a nice crowd on a nice day. Final game of the homestand, and the good folks are out here. Hope you make your plans for that next homestand. Boy, to see the Mets come here with that great pitching staff, that'll be some challenge. Check swing, no swing. Giants knocked off a good Mets pitcher, Noah Syndergaard, today. Dodgers 1, Padres nothing. Bottom of the 7th. And that knuckle curveball does the job, and down goes Thompson. So a very fine 7 innings for Pomeranz. He has 5 strikeouts, but at the end of 7, it's still 1-0 Dodgers. At LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com. A glimpse of yesterday, Carl Perillo avoiding a tag. Gil Hodges, number 14, and off to the left, Dodger bat boy Charlie DeGiovanni. Into the 8th we go. 0-1 the count to Alexi Ramirez. He is the one Padre who has given Kershaw a bad time. He hit a shot in the 2nd inning deep to right center, pulled down by Yasiel Puig after a long run, and he singled in the 5th inning, squirted foul, singled, and Puig recovered and threw him out, trying to stretch a single into a double. So Ramirez, then Rosales, and then Weeks. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for San Diego. In the dirt, but did he commit? Yes, he did. So Ramirez can't hold up. He becomes strikeout victim number 11. And here's Adam Rosales, who would give anything to come up with a base hit. Pitch in the dirt, but he's punched out. Rosales grounded to third and struck out. Rockies are leading the D-backs 4-1 in the 6th inning. If the Dodgers win, Arizona loses. The Dodgers would be leading by a 1.5 over the D-backs. However, they'd remain tied with the Giants. And Colorado would remain tied. 1-2. Christian Betancourt comes out on deck as a pinch hitter. Fastball in the dirt. So it's Ramirez, Rosales, Weeks due up, but Betancourt will bat for him. Betancourt is hitting .211. Check swing, did he? Yes. So down goes Rosales again. That's 12 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. Christian Bettencourt is coming up, batting 4 weeks. Bettencourt 211. He has 1 home run, 1 run batted in. So after looking at Kershaw from the bench, Bettencourt now gets his feet wet, batting for Jamal Weeks. And a little foul. AJ has a play. He has the ball. So that didn't take long. Down go the Padres in the 8th. And at the end of 7.5, still 1-0 Dodgers. What's happened so far? Not much. Zeros from Puig all the way down through Kendrick. Double by Trace Thompson. But the story, besides Kershaw's pitching, the bottom 2 in the lineup. Ellis doubled and Clayton singled him home for the only run in the game. Couple of changes. Adam Rosales, who's played third base, moves over now to second base. Brett Wallace will take over at third. And if you want to give Drew Pomerantz a hand, here he is, Brad Hand, brought in from the bullpen. Boy, Pomerantz did so well, but outpitched another brilliant effort by Kershaw. Seager will start it off. Ball 1. Corey is grounded to first, fly to right. Hand pitched briefly in game 1. Ball 2. In fact, Hand came in the 6th inning and faced Grandal in that game. And Grandal hit the 7th home run of his career right-handed. That was the only run the Dodgers got. The Padres won the game 5-1. 2 balls, no strikes. So after watching Pomerantz and Kershaw throw strikes, Hand comes in, falls behind 3-0. We've only had 1 walk in the entire game, and that was intentionally granted to Ellis. That's a strike. To look ahead, when the Padres come up in the 9th inning, the pitcher's spot, but Wallace, the third baseman, will be leading off in the 9th. 3-2. If you are keeping score, Hand would bat in Weeks' spot. Three and two. Chased a bad ball and down goes Corey. So 1 out.
17, AT LAN.
6 Dodgers have struck out. Hand picks up the first one. Kershaw has struck out 11. Clayton has had 2 very easy innings. A 7-pitch 3rd inning and a 9-pitch 8th inning. So here's Ellis, who doubled and scored the only run. Fouled away, 0-1. Dodgers 3 outs away from snapping a 6-game losing streak. Padres still working on a 2-game winning streak. 1-0 Dodgers, each side with 3 hits. Kershaw waiting on deck. 1-1. Good breaking ball, late breaking ball too. 1-2. Looked like it was going to be off the plate, and at the last second it just jumped across. Over the top, missing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Dodgers. The game is not 2 hours old. Yeah, I know that's bad luck to say, right? 2-2. Kershaw wearing the deuces. High foul, out of play. Trying to remember, Kershaw has made 90 pitches. And I'm trying to think and remember of the least number of pitches I saw in a game. I do remember one year Dodgers played the Cubs in Wrigley Field, and the left-hander Preacher Rowe pitching for the Dodgers. That's ball 3. I remember it was in the 70s. I think it might have been 79 pitches. Rowe, a left-hander, and big Hank Sauer, all-star home run hitter, was the last hitter, and Rowe decided to play with him a little and took some time, and Hank was ready to jump out of his uniform. Here's ball 4. That's not many pitches for a 9-inning game, is it? And in Wrigley Field. So that was Preacher. Elwin Preacher Rowe from Ash Flats, Arkansas. You can picture him just by saying Ash Flats, Arkansas. All right, here's Clayton. He got a base hit. It's a big one. It drove in Ellis in the 3rd inning, the only run of the game. Wallace at 3rd, well in on the grass. 1 out, so you expect Kershaw to bunt, because that's the way he was when he singled against the Marlins. Look out, a strike. He brought the back as if he was going to take a hack. Oh, and 1. All right, 0-2. Kevin Quackenbush gets up in the San Diego bullpen. So that'll do it for Clayton. Second strikeout for Hand. 2 out in the 8th. And Yasiel Puig one more time. And now let's see. He's going to take Brad Hand out, I believe. Andy on his way to the mound. And he gestures Quackenbush. So Hand faced 3. No one hit the ball. He struck out 2 and Ellis walked. And we'll be back. With the bat, but 1 for 1 with the arm. Here's a base hit into right field down the line. Looks like a double. Puig comes racing over without setting, just picked it up and fired, and it was just in time to get Alexi Ramirez. So instead of a double in scoring position, he is erased. So Puig has done a huge job already in the game. Meanwhile, Kevin Quackenbush begins to warm up. Quackenbush in his 13th game. He was born in Tampa, went to the University of South Florida, 6'3", 210, and drafted by the Padres in 2011. So here's Puig. Ellis at first, 2 out. One run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for San Diego. And a strike. Puig in the leadoff role in the first inning walked up and swung at the first pitch. Next time around, it took 9 pitches to get him. So let's see what happens this time. 0-1. Almost got him. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Quackenbush, 6'3", 210. He has 2 out. He is asked to get Puig and get into the 9th inning. Ground ball to the shortstop. That's Ramirez. They get the force play. Puig goes 0 for 4, but still made that big play. And the Dodgers go down in the 8th. So it's up to Clayton. It seems like it's always up to Clayton. We go to the 9th, 1-0 Dodgers. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We treat kids better. Ninth inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw on a roll today. Has allowed 3 hits, no runs. He has struck out 12. He got Ramirez in the 8th inning for number 11. He got Rosales in the 8th inning for number 12. And we'll see what kind of petrol he has in the tank here in the 9th. Brett Wallace, born in Marin and lives in Sonoma, was a first-round pick by the St. Louis Cardinals. Just didn't work. So from the Cardinals, he went to the Astros and winds up now with the Padres. And a strike. Wallace is 6'2", 200-pounder. Checking his home runs, his high 18 in Vegas. One ball and one strike. .92 pitches now, getting him into the 9th inning. Foul back. For Clayton Kershaw, his career high twice 15 in his no-hitter against the Giants, and he also had 15 strikeouts against Colorado. So he would have to strike out the side to get to 15 again. Fouled away. Tim Lincecum, the erstwhile pitcher with the San Francisco Giants, will try to sell himself. He'll have a pitching showcase next Friday in Scottsdale, Arizona. Well, you know, the Dodgers, somewhat of a bothersome pitching staff for the moment. You have to wonder if they're going to take a look. Change curve, got him. 73-mile-an-hour rainbow, and that strikeout number 13. Boy, that pitch is a killer, and he throws it right in the middle. Say, enjoy MLB.TV Premium for a new low price this year. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout, other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.TV for details. That's off the plate. John Jay, I'm sure, has not had the bad day as he's had today. 3 strikeouts for a very good pitcher. And the way Kershaw delivers, he's given a lot of guys a bad time. 1-1 the count to John Jay. Fastball. Adam Rosales struck out 4 times last night. So Jay now 3 strikeouts and a 1-2 count. Welcome to the club. So John Jay, good all-around ball player, strikes out 4 times. Kershaw now has 14 strikeouts, and the batter is Will Myers. Crowd of 49,271 beside themselves over this great performance by Clayton Kershaw. Or should we just say another great performance? Ball 1. Kershaw on the edge of a third 15 strikeout game. Big chopper to third. Oh, what a nice play by Justin Turner. How do you do? So Kershaw shake hands with A.J. Ellis. That combination not only mentally but physically gave the Dodgers the victory. Ellis doubled in the 3rd inning. Kershaw singled to drive him in, and that was that. 101 pitches. That meant 11 in the 9th inning. So Clayton picks it up. The totals on the ball game behind the player of the game. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits, and 1 error for San Diego. Not only does Clayton give the Dodgers the victory and become the player of the game, it snaps a dreadful 6-game losing streak. So the Dodgers can hit the road in high spirits. They're still in first place. They're tied with the Giants. Remember, they'll be at Tampa Bay on Tuesday and Wednesday, next weekend in Toronto, and then back here for a dandy homestand. 4 with the Mets, 3 with the Cardinals, and 2 with the Angels. That'll do it for us. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody.